my other computer, my HP 15, and whoops, let me bring up that microphone. Oh, it's already brought up. And let me go down here and click this and then go up here to open it. And we should be getting an opening momentarily. Waiting for response from, and it moved it over to my OneDrive and now should be presenting a PDF. Yes, there it is. It'll take a minute, so let me make sure about this. Greetings, YouTube viewers. Richard Slezak here. It's the Friday Evening News, originating at the Voice of Stockton, John Moriarty's studio, 231 West Bedford Road, Stockton, California. And we got the report on the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. We're in Volume 2. This is episode 23. We do about 15 pages a show. So let me move back over and give you the weather. And stabilize that a little bit better. Care for the equipment. Know your equipment and care for it. Trying to be a radio engineer here. And over the state of California, well, offshore we got some gale warnings, and that's from Cape Mendocino down to Monterey, Big Sur. And let's swing this boom over here. And we got the deep purple, which is storm warning. And then small craft warning. It's a nice mauve pink, which well, that's winter storms and high surf advisory. That's on the west coast from, looks to be Washington, Port Angeles, maybe not quite up that far, down to Cape Mendocino, where starts up storm warning, going down to Big Sur. And then from Big Sur, not including the Channel Islands, but further out, you got the winter storm warning, high surf warning along the coast. Now, inland, we have winter storm warning over the North Coast Range, the Cascades, the Siskiyous, the North Sierras, and the Central Sierras. Along the coastal counties, Sonoma, down to Monterey, we got a gale warning, and that's what it looks like. It's a tan color, a wind advisory. Okay, around the rest of the country, Utah and Arizona getting a winter storm warning. Same for Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Around that is a good strong blue, which is a freeze warning. And winter storm well, that's a green. Now, winter weather advisory kind of color. Then there's an orange in South Dakota and Wyoming, where they meet up at about 150, 200 miles either side, and northern Nebraska and that's blizzard warning. South of that through Nebraska, northeast Colorado, eastern New Mexico, and central and western Kansas is a high wind advisory. And central Texas is kind of a gray-blue zone. And is that dense fog advisory? And yeah, it's fog advisory. Same thing along the Missouri-Arkansas line. And in New York and Pennsylvania, yeah, the rains come through and then you get some fogs. All righty. Let us go up and get a local weather forecast for Stockton, California. And here we go with that. STOCKTON, comma, CA. All righty, Magic Machine, do your thing. And we have, as of 8:50 p.m., it's currently 9:10 p.m., here on the Friday Evening News, post-Thanksgiving. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. We have 42 degrees and mostly cloudy, humidity at 86%. Wind is 5 miles per hour out of the southeast. Barometers at 30 inches of mercury. Dew point 39 degrees. Visibility 10 miles. Wind chill is at 39. This evening, slight chance of showers, then mostly cloudy with a low of 39. Saturday, 80% chance of rain with a high of 53. Saturday night, 100% chance of rain and breezy with a low of 45. Sunday, 100% chance of rain and breezy with a high of 55. Sunday night, 90% chance of rain and breezy with a low of 50. Monday, rain, then chance of rain, going from 80% down to 50%. Monday night, chance, with a high of 60 degrees. Monday night, 50% chance of rain with a low of 49. Tuesday, chance of showers with a high of 59. And Tuesday night, chance of showers with a low of 48. All righty. Let's put this one to Sleepy Pie and get the audition up there. And back to the video computer. I'm going to bring up the Facebook. Going to go webcast the video live on Facebook. And that billboard will be coming up momentarily for me to print on. We got 9:12 here at the Voice of Stockton, now 9:13. Waiting for the billboard. Here, okay, here we go. And bam, hit the delete. And this is the Friday Evening News. What the heck? Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to push the delete. Oh, what the heck? Oh, that's... Okay. Heck. There have been some what worked one week is not working this week. It's a little different. Okay. All righty. Be that way. That's not responding. And trying to get this thing to respond. Oh, because I'm pushing the wrong buttons. Heck. It might help. We got 3 keyboards here, 4 mice, 4 computers. Okay, this is the Friday evening news. Oh, wait a minute. I keep doing that wrong. Wrong keyboard. Sorry about that. Evening news. And let's get the host here. In there, H-O-S-T, host, Richard Slezak. Bam. All righty, on start broadcast in 3, 2, 1. Bam. Welcome, Facebook viewers. And we're about to get the audition portion, the recorded portion of this show started. And that calls for a delete, and today's date, the 29th of November. Okay, and it is the Friday evening news. And we have 9:16 here at the Voice of Stockton. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, listeners. This is the Voice of Stockton. It is the .org. This is the Friday evening news with your host, Richard Slezak. And we have coming up episode 23 of the Mueller Report. Let me go over to my HP 15 and get started. Oh, we got 2 other microphones here. I'm going to bring these up, get their gain way high so that all my voice can be picked up here with this microphone as well with others. Let me move some sheets of paper and maybe kick that up a hair. Alrighty. We're in volume 2 of the Mueller Report, and let me play with the page a bit. And this is, as you know, on a computer, it's on the long scroll. There is the Mouseketeer, and I gotta take this thing down, 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 down the pages. That's 185, so I know I got further to go. Page 4. Page 11. And scroll a bit. Page 25. Now we're heading to 29 to resume our reading. 27, 28, and 29. Get a heading to this section, and oh my, where's that heading? going way back many pages. Yes, President's conduct concerning the investigation of Michael Flynn. First there was an overview, and then there's evidence, and that was all the way back to page 24, and we're up at 29 already, still going through the evidence on all the obstruction of justice concerning Michael Flynn. Now, 3. Flynn makes false statements about his communications with Kislyak to incoming administration officials, the media, and the FBI. And we had 9:16 p.m. audition start. And that was preceded by, let's see, YouTube, weather, weather.gov, Facebook. Alrighty, good evening, Facebook and YouTube viewers. And again, we're on volume 2, page 29 of the Mueller report. On January 12, 2017, a Washington Post columnist reported that Flynn and Kislyak communicated on the day the Obama administration announced Russia sanctions. The column questioned whether Flynn had said something to undercut the U.S. sanctions and whether Flynn's communications had violated the letter or spirit of the Logan Act. Alrighty, let's go to page 29 here to notice 29 WAPO 1/12/2019 reported Flynn violated Logan Act communications. Need a different pen. Oh, I see one. I'll use the ink of the. Oh, perfect. See, these microphones have very short cords, so I've got to take them off. Headphones have very short cords and not intended for movement around the studio. All right, there we go. That's more like it. Communication with Kislyak. And how we spell that old boy's name? K-I-S-L-Y-A-K. Alrighty. And the column questioned whether Flynn had said something to undercut the U.S. sanctions and whether Flynn's communications had violated the letter or spirit of the Logan Act. President-elect Trump called Priebus after the story was published and expressed anger about it. Priebus recalled that the president-elect asked, "What the hell is this all about?" Priebus called Flynn and told him that President-elect was angry about reporting on Flynn's conversations with Kislyak. Flynn recalled that he felt a lot of pressure because Priebus had spoken to the boss, quote unquote, and said Flynn needed to, quote, kill the story, unquote. Flynn directed McFarland to call the Washington Post columnist and inform him that no discussion of sanctions had occurred. McFarland recalled that Flynn said words to the effect, "I want to kill the story." McFarland made the call as Flynn had requested, although she knew she was providing false information, and the Washington Post updated the column to reflect that a Trump official had denied that Flynn and Kislyak discussed sanctions. And sanctions discussion. And continuing. When Priebus and other incoming administration officials questioned Flynn internally about the Washington Post column, Flynn maintained that he had not discussed sanctions with Kislyak. Flynn repeated that claim to Vice President-elect Michael Pence and to incoming Press Secretary Sean Spicer in subsequent media interviews in mid-January. Pence, Priebus, and Spicer denied that Flynn and Kislyak had discussed sanctions, basing those denials on their conversations with General Flynn. All righty, we got plenty of footnotes here. We got David Ignatius. Why did Obama dawdle on Russia hacking? And that was in the same story. The Logan Act, 123. The Logan Act makes it a crime for any citizen of the United States, wherever he may be, to, without authority of the United States, directly or indirectly commence or carry on any correspondence or intercourse with any foreign government or any officer or agent thereof in relation to any disputes or controversies with the United States, or to defeat the measures of the United States. That's in 18 U.S. Code, paragraph or statute number 953. Then there's interviews with Priebus as of January 18th, 2018, then with Flynn 11/21/17, then McFarland 12/22/17. Now, on to page 30. Public statements of incoming administration officials denying that Flynn and Kislyak had discussed sanctions alarmed senior Department of Justice officials who were aware that the statements were not true. Those officials were concerned that Flynn had lied to his colleagues, who in turn had unwittingly misled the American public, creating a compromised situation for Flynn because the Department of Justice assessed that the Russian government could prove Flynn lied. The FBI investigative team also believed that Flynn's calls with Kislyak and subsequent denials about discussing sanctions raised potential Logan Act issues and were relevant to the FBI's broader Russia investigation. On January 20th, 2017, President Trump was inaugurated and Flynn was sworn in as National Security Advisor. On January 23rd, 2017, Spicer delivered his first press briefing and stated that he had spoken with Flynn the night before, who confirmed that the calls with Kislyak were about topics unrelated to sanctions. Spicer's statements added to the Department of Justice's concerns that Russia had leverage over Flynn based on his lies and could use that derogatory information to compromise him. On January 24, 2017, Flynn agreed to be interviewed by agents from the FBI. During the interview, which took place at the White House, Flynn falsely stated that he did not ask Kislyak to refrain from escalating the situation in response to sanctions on Russia imposed by the Obama administration. Flynn also falsely stated that he did not remember a follow-up conversation in which Kislyak stated that Russia had chosen to moderate its response to those sanctions as a result of Flynn's request. And this is page 30. And Flynn and Russia moderates sanctions response my, this pen too seems to be in its latter days. Gonna give it one more. Ooh, bad. It doesn't want to close anyways. Okay, there it goes. And how many pens do I have in here? Get out the second one. This is the Voice of Stockton, the Friday Evening News. We're on in Volume 2, page 30 of the Mueller Report. Okay, footnotes for this page start out with a Face the Nation interview with Vice President-elect Pence. That was of January 15th, 2017. Then there's several with Yates interviews, August 15th, 2017. McCord, July 17th, 2017. Sean Spicer in a C-SPAN interview, White House Daily Briefing, January 23rd, 2017. And Flynn's statement of offense. On December 1st, 2017, Flynn admitted to making these false statements and pleaded guilty to violating 18 U.S. Code Statute 1001, which makes it a crime to knowingly and willfully make any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or representation to federal law enforcement officials. On to page 31. Department of Justice, number 4. Department of Justice officials notified the White House of their concerns about Flynn. On January 26, 2017, Acting Attorney General Sally Yates contacted White House counsel Don McGahn and informed him that she needed to discuss a sensitive matter with him in person. Later that day, Yates and Mary McCord, a senior national security official at the Department of Justice, met at the White House with McGahn and White House counsel's office attorney James Burnham. Yates said that public statements made by the vice president denying that Flynn and Kislyak discussed sanctions were not true and put Flynn in a potentially compromised position because the Russians would know he had lied. And let me turn down this microphone for a minute. Take a minute and turn it down. Recording a little on the high volume side. So we'll reduce this down to 0, which is the mid-range. Yates discussed that Flynn had been interviewed by the FBI. She declined to answer specific questions about how Flynn had performed during the interview, but she indicated that Flynn's statement to the FBI were similar to the statements he had made to Pence and Spicer denying that he had discussed sanctions. McGahn came away from the meeting with the impression that the FBI interview and had not pinned Flynn down in lies, but he asked John Eisenberg, who served as legal advisor to the National Security Council, to examine potential legal issues raised by Flynn's FBI interview and his contacts with Kislyak. That afternoon, McGahn notified the president that Yates had come to the White House to discuss concerns about Flynn. McGahn described that Yates had told him and the president asked him to repeat it, so he did. McGahn recalled that when he described the FBI interview of Flynn, he said that Flynn did not disclose having discussed sanctions with Kislyak, but that there may not have been a clear violation of 18 U.S. Code Statute 1001. The president asked about Section 1001, and McGahn explained the law to him and also explained the Logan Act. Continuing on page 32, the president instructed McGahn to work with Priebus and Bannon to look into the matter further and directed that they not discuss it with any other officials. Priebus recalled that the president was angry with Flynn in light of what Yates had told the White House and said, "Not again. this guy, this stuff. And that's on page 31, 32. Not this guy, not again, not this stuff. Trump on Flynn. And what's the dates on this? Most peculiar. And 1/26/2017. 1/26/2017. Oh my. Yeah, the footnotes on page 31 are from Yates, McGann. There's a draft memorandum to file from the Office of the Counsel to the President, Burnham, November 3rd, 2017. And there's another one of those as of 11/30/2017. McGann, 11/30/2017, White House Counsel's Office Memorandum, R.E. Flynn TikTok. And there's one January 26th. McGann immediately advises POTUS, draft memorandum to file from the Office of the Counsel to the President. And then 3 more from McGann. Okay, on to page 32. That evening, the President dined with several senior advisors and asked the group what they thought about FBI Director Comey. We have 9:36 p.m. This is the Voice of Stockton, and we're on page 32, volume 2 of the Mueller report. And so this is on January 26, 2017. According to Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats, who was at the dinner, no one openly advocated terminating Comey, but the consensus on him was not positive. Coats told the group that he thought Comey was a good director. Coats encouraged the president to meet Comey face-to-face and spend time with him before making a decision about whether to retain him. Section 5 of evidence concerning Flynn and obstruction of justice. McGann has a follow-up meeting about Flynn with Yates. President Trump has dinner with the FBI director. The next day, January 27, 2017, McGann and Eisenberg discussed the results of Eisenberg's initial legal research into Flynn's conduct and specifically whether Flynn may have violated the Espionage Act, the Logan Act, or 18 U.S. Code Statute 1001. Based on his preliminary research, Eisenberg informed McGann that there was a possibility that Flynn had violated 18 U.S. Code Statute 1001 and the Logan Act. And what page are we on? 32. And Eisenberg on Flynn violated 18 U.S.C. Statute 1001, false statements to FBI. Alrightius. And that's 1/27/2017. Eisenberg noted that the United States had never successfully prosecuted an individual under the Logan Act and that Flynn could have a possible defense, and told McGahn that he believed it was unlikely that a prosecutor would pursue a Logan Act charge under the circumstances. Alrighty, in the footnotes, there's a McGahn draft memorandum due file from the Office of Counsel to the President. Priebus, October 13th, 2017. Several witnesses said the president was unhappy with Flynn for other reasons at this time. Bannon said that Flynn's standing with the president was not good by December 2016. The president-elect had concerns because President Obama had warned him about Flynn shortly after the election. And with that, President Obama's comments sat with President-elect Trump more than Ms. Hicks expected. Priebus said that the president had become unhappy with Flynn even before the story of his calls with Kislyak broke, and had become so upset with Flynn that he would not look at him during intelligence briefings. Priebus, Hicks said that the president thought Flynn had bad judgment and was angered by tweets sent by Flynn and his own son. She described Flynn as being on thin ice. Oh my, okay. Flynn on thin ice, and that's as of February 2017. All right, then there's there's the other footnotes reference Coates, Dan Coates. Okay, page 33. That same morning, McGahn asked Yates to return to the White House to discuss Flynn again. In that second meeting, McGahn expressed doubts that the Department of Justice would bring a Logan Act prosecution against Flynn, but stated that the White House did not want to take action that would interfere with an ongoing FBI investigation of Flynn. Yates responded that the Department of Justice had notified the White House so that it could take action in response to the information provided. McGahn ended the meeting by asking Yates for access to the underlying information the Department of Justice possessed pertaining to Flynn's discussions with Kislyak. Oh my, that's worth noting. McGahn asked Yates for DOJ info pertaining to Flynn Kislyak discussions. Boom. Alrighty, let me check the electronics over here. We have 9:42 p.m. This is the Voice of Stockton, the Friday evening news. We're on page 33, volume 2 of the Mueller report. And just checking the audio portion here. Come on up, radio DJ. Okay, things are going fine there. And taking a look at the video, things are going fine there. And yeah, we're 26 minutes into the show, rolling as we go. All right, this is the Voice of Stockton. And also on January 27th, the president called FBI Director Comey and invited him to dinner that evening. Priebus recalled that before the dinner he told the president something like, "Don't talk about Russia, whatever you do." And the president promised he would not talk about Russia at dinner. McGahn had previously advised the president that he should not communicate directly with the Department of Justice to avoid the perception or reality of political interference in law enforcement. When Bannon learned about the president's planned dinner with Comey, He suggested that he or Priebus also attend, but the president stated that he wanted to dine with Comey alone. Comey said that when he arrived for the dinner that evening, he was surprised and concerned to see that no one else had been invited. And this page 34, 127, 2017, Trump and Comey dine alone. McGahn told Trump, do not do that. Bang. Alrighty. Footnotes on the page come from Eisenberg, Yates, 2 from Yates, Comey, Priebus, McGahn, Bannon. The ones from Yates was unwilling to confirm or deny that there was an ongoing investigation, but did indicate the Department of Justice would not object to the White House taking action against Flynn. And the second one, in accordance with McGahn's request, the Department of Justice made the underlying information available, and Eisenberg viewed the information in early February. Okay, that was page 33, on to page 34. Comey provided an account of the dinner and a contemporaneous memo, an interview with this office, and congressional testimony. According to Comey's account of the dinner, the president repeatedly brought up Comey's future, asking whether he wanted to stay on as FBI director. 34. Trump repeatedly asked Comey if he wanted to stay on as FBI director. Because the president had previously said he wanted Comey to stay on as FBI director, Comey interpreted the president's comments as an effort to create a patronage relationship by having Comey ask for his job. The president also brought up the Steele reporting that Comey had raised in the January 6, 2017 briefing, and stated that he was thinking about ordering the FBI to investigate the allegations to prove they were false. Comey responded that the president should think carefully about issuing such an order because it could create a narrative that the FBI was investigating him personally, which was incorrect. Later in the dinner, the president brought up Flynn and said the guy has serious judgment issues. Comey did not comment on Flynn, and the president did not acknowledge any FBI interest in or contact with Flynn. According to Comey's account, at one point during the dinner, the president stated, "I need loyalty. I expect loyalty." Comey did not respond, and the conversation moved on to other topics, but the president returned to the subject of Comey's job at the end of the dinner and repeated, "I need loyalty." Comey responded, "You will always get honesty from me." The president said, "That's what I want, honest loyalty." Comey said, "You will get that from me." And that was 35. Trump, "That's what I want, honest loyalty. Comey, you will get that from me, period, end of quote. Alrighty, that's page 1. May as well get on to page 2 of my note-taking here, for we're trying to do radio journalism here. That's the intent. Alrighty, and this is the Friday Evening News, coming to you over the voice of Stockton. And today is November 29th, 2019. And we look to have 9:50 p.m. And this is episode 23, the Mueller report. And we're in volume 2, page 35. Alrighty, let me loosen my shoes. Boom. Clicky, clicky. Oh my golly. Old is better than the alternative. I'll take old. I'm 64. So, this is my retirement plan. Boom. Foot burning relief. And get the other one while the getting's good. All the time. Short cords. Oh, you're a tall person. And they weren't made for you, so why don't you find another line of work? No one around here like that. People come and people go. Some are nice and some aren't. Alrighty, page 35. After Comey's account of the dinner became public, the president and his advisors disputed that he had asked for Comey's loyalty. The president also indicated that he had not invited Comey to dinner, telling a reporter that he thought Comey had asked for the dinner because he wanted to stay on. But substantial evidence corroborates Comey's account of the dinner invitation and the request for loyalty. The president's daily diary confirms that the president extended a dinner invitation to Comey on January 27th. With respect to the substance of the dinner conversations, Comey documented that the president requests for loyalty in a memorandum he had begun drafting the night of the dinner. Senior FBI officials recall that Comey told them about the loyalty request shortly after the dinner occurred, and Comey described the request while under oath in congressional proceedings and in a subsequent interview with investigators subject to penalties for lying under 18 U.S. Code, Statute 1001. Comey's memory of the details of the dinner, including the president requested loyalty, has remained consistent throughout. Okay, footnotes on page 35 are extensive. From Comey, 128:17, statement for record, that hearing on Russian election interference before the Senate Select Intelligence Committee, and that's the same with the second. May 11th, 2017, New York Times article, the president would never even suggest the expectation of personal loyalty, said Sarah Sanders, Ali Vitali, Trump never asked for Comey's loyalty, president's personal lawyer says. That was June 8th, 2017, quoting the president's personal counsel, saying the president also never told Mr. Comey, I need loyalty, I expect loyalty in form or substance. June 9th, 2017, Trump said, I hardly know the man. I'm not going to say I want you to pledge allegiance. Who would do that? Who would ask a man to pledge allegiance under oath? In a private conversation with Spicer, the president stated that he never asked for Comey's loyalty, but added that if he had asked for loyalty, who cares? And that was from Spicer on October 16th, 2017. The president also told McGahn he never said what Comey said he had. Continuing. From President's Daily Diary, the purpose of the call was to extend a dinner invitation. In addition, two witnesses corroborate Comey's account that the president reached out to schedule the dinner without Comey having asked for it. And that was Priebus on October 13th, 2017. And Ribicki on November 21st, 2018, recalling that Comey had told him about the president's dinner invitation on the day of the dinner. From McCabe. After leaving the White House, Comey recalled that Deputy Director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, summarized that he and the president had discussed including the president's request for loyalty and expressed shock over the president's request. In addition, Comey distributed his memorandum documenting the dinner to his senior leadership team, and McCabe confirmed that the memorandum captured what Comey said on the telephone call immediately following the dinner. Okay, continuing on page 36. Flynn's resignation. On February 2nd, 2017, Eisenberg reviewed the underlying information relating to Flynn's calls with Kislyak. Eisenberg recalled that he prepared a memorandum about the criminal statutes that could apply to Flynn's conduct, but he did not believe the White House had enough information to make a definitive recommendation to the president. Eisenberg and McGahn discussed that Eisenberg's review of the underlying information confirmed his preliminary conclusion that Flynn was unlikely to be prosecuted for violating the Logan Act, because White House officials were uncertain what Flynn had told the FBI. However, they could not assess his exposure to prosecution for violating 18 U.S. Code Statute 1001. The week of February 6th, Flynn had a one-on-one conversation with the president in the Oval Office about the negative media coverage of his contacts with Kislyak. Flynn recalled that the president was upset and asked him for information on the conversations. Flynn listed the specific dates on which he remembered speaking with Kislyak, but the president corrected one of the dates he listed. The president asked Flynn what he and Kislyak discussed, and Flynn responded that he might have talked about sanctions. Footnotes on page 36 come from, well, here's one on Gauhar. There also is evidence that corroborates other aspects of the memoranda Comey wrote documenting his interactions with the president. Comey recalled, and his memoranda reflect, that he told the president in his January 6, 2017 meeting and on phone calls on March 30th and April 11th, 2017, that the FBI was not investigating the president personally. On May 8, 2017, during White House discussions about firing Comey, the president told Rosenstein and others that Comey had told him 3 times that he was not under investigation, including once in person and twice on the phone. The rest of the footnotes are from Eisenberg and Flynn. On to page 37. On February 9th, 2017, the Washington Post reported that Flynn discussed sanctions with Kislyak the month before the president took office. After the publication of that story, Vice President Pence learned of the Department of Justice's notification to the White House about the content of Flynn's calls. He and other advisors then sought access to and reviewed the underlying information about Flynn's contacts with Kislyak. FBI Director Andrew McCabe, who provided the White House officials with access to the information and was present when they reviewed it, recalled that officials asking him whether Flynn's conduct violated the Logan Act. McCabe responded that he did not know, but the FBI was investigating the matter because it was a possibility. Based on the evidence of Flynn's contacts with Kislyak, McGahn and Priebus concluded that Flynn could not have forgotten the details of the discussions of sanctions and had instead been lying about what he discussed with Kislyak. Flynn had also told White House officials that the FBI had told him that the FBI was closing out its investigation of him, but Eisenberg did not believe him. After reviewing the materials and speaking with Flynn, McGahn and Priebus concluded that Flynn should be terminated and recommended that course of action to the president. It is currently 10:01 p.m. This is the Voice of Stockton, the Friday Evening News, episode 23, The Mueller Report. And that's as of let's see. We're on page 37. Priebus and McGahn conclude Flynn should be terminated. And that was post 2/9/2017. That weekend, Flynn accompanied the president to Mar-a-Lago. Flynn recalled that on February 12, 2017, on the return flight to D.C. on Air Force One, the president asked him whether he had lied to the vice president. Flynn responded that he may have forgotten details of his calls, but he did not think he lied. The president responded, "Okay, that's fine. I got it." Footnotes on page 37, Greg Miller, Washington Post, then memorandums from McGahn, then McCabe interview, and Eisenberg and Flynn. On to page 38. On February 13th, 2017, Priebus told Flynn he had to resign. Flynn said he wanted to say goodbye to the president, so Priebus brought him to the Oval Office. Priebus recalled that the president hugged Flynn, shook his hand, and said, "Well, we'll give you a good recommendation. You're a good guy. We'll take care of you." Oh, my golly. Here we go, page 38, 2/13/2017, Priebus told Flinny he had to resign. Trump hugged Flynn, shook his hand, and said, "We'll take care of you." Doing, doing. Talking points on the resignation prepared by the White House counsel's office and distributed to the White House communications team stated that McGahn had advised the president that Flynn was unlikely to be prosecuted, and the president had determined that the issue with Flynn was one of trust. Spicer told the press the next day that Flynn was forced to resign not based on a legal issue, but based on a trust issue where a level of trust between the president and General Flynn had eroded to a point where the president felt he had to make a change. Section 7 of the evidence of obstruction of justice in the Flynn case, President discusses Flynn with FBI Director Comey. On February 14, 2017, the day after Flynn's resignation, the president had lunch at the White House with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. According to Christie, at one point during the lunch, the president said, "Now that we fired Flynn, the Russia thing is over." Christie laughed and responded, "No way." He said, "The Russia thing is far from over, and we'll be here on Valentine's Day 2018 talking about this." The president said, "What do you mean?" "Flynn met with the Russians. That was the problem. I fired Flynn. It's over." Christie recalled responding that based on his experience both as a prosecutor and as someone who had been investigated, firing Flynn would not end the investigation. Christie said that there was no way to make an investigation shorter, but a lot of ways to make it longer. The president asked Christie what he meant, and Christie told the president not to talk about the investigation, even if he was frustrated at times. Christie also told the president that he would never be able to get rid of Flynn like gum on the bottom of your shoe. Okay, now footnotes on page 38 are from Priebus, Sean Spicer. After Flynn pleaded guilty to violating the line to the FBI, the president tweeted, "I had to fire General Flynn because he lied to the vice president and the FBI." The next day, the president's personal counsel told the press that he had drafted the tweet. It was a, quote, trust issue, number one, and Trump fired Flynn, figured Flynn out of Trump hair. Christie said, like gum on shoe. Alrighty, continuing. Going to page 39. Towards the end of the lunch, the president brought up Comey and asked if Christie was still friendly with him. Christie said he was. The president told Christie to call Comey and tell him that the president really likes him, tell him he's part of the team. At the end of the lunch, the president repeated his request that Christie reach out to Comey. Christie had no intention of complying with the president's request that he contact Comey. He thought the president's request was nonsensical, and Christie did not want to put Comey in the position of having to receive such a phone call. Christie thought it would have been uncomfortable to pass on that message. Let's see, what day was that? Valentine's Day. And 39 is 2/14/2017. Christie did not pass Trump to Comey message. Comey is liked and on the team. Nonsensical. Said Christie. Alrighty. At 4 p.m. that afternoon, the president met with Comey, Sessions, and other officials for a Homeland Security briefing. At the end of the briefing, the president dismissed the other attendees and stated he wanted to speak to Comey alone. Comey and senior advisor to the president, Jared Kushner, remained in the Oval Office as other participants left, but the president excused them, repeating that he wanted to speak only with Comey at some point after the others had left the office. Priebus opened the door, but the president sent him away. And this was at, on 40/2/14/2017, Trump and Comey alone in Oval Office. And a footnote from 2/13/19, Christie also recalled during the lunch Flynn called Kushner, who was at the lunch, and complained about what Spicer had said about Flynn in his press briefing that day. Kushner told Flynn words to the effect, "You know the president respects you. The president cares about you. I'll get the president to send out a positive tweet about you later." Kushner looked at the president when he mentioned the tweet, and the president nodded his assent. Flynn recalled getting upset at Spicer's comments in the press conference and calling Kushner to say he did not appreciate the comments. Okay, on to page 40. According to Comey's account of the meeting, once they were alone, the president began the conversation by saying, I want to talk about Michael Flynn. The president stated that Flynn had not done anything wrong in speaking with the Russians, but had to be terminated because he had misled the vice president. The conversation turned to the topic of leaks of classified information, but the president returned to Flynn saying he is a good guy and has been through a lot. The president stated, I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. I hope you can let this go. Comey agreed that Flynn is a good guy, but not commit to ending the investigation of Flynn. Comey testified under oath that he took the president's statement as a direction because the president's position and the circumstances of the one-on-one meeting. Trump wanted Comey to lay off of Flynn. And footnotes on page 40, coming from Comey, Sessions recalled that the president asked to speak to Comey alone and that Sessions was one of the last to leave the room. He described Comey's testimony about the events leading up to the private meeting with the president as pretty accurate. Kushner had no recollection of whether the president asked Comey to stay behind. Then there's some more from Comey. There's hearing on Russia election interference. Former director of the FBI Comey 21417 memorandum at 2. Comey said he was highly confident that the words in quotations in his memorandum documenting this meeting were the exact words used by the president. He said he knew from the outset of the meeting that he was about to have a conversation of consequence, and he remembered the words used by the president and wrote them down soon after the meeting. Then another footnote, Comey further stated, I mean, this is the President of the United States with me alone saying, I hope this. I took it as this is what he wants me to do. And on to page 41. We have 10:15 here at the Voice of Stockton. And when did we get started with the show? At 9:16. Oh my. Alrighty then. I guess we'll be winding down the show and resume, R-E-S-U-M-E, reading at page 41 top. Alrighty, this will be more the Flynn Comey investigation and obstruction goings-ons coming up on our next show, and that'll be episode 24. And we have about another 150 pages to go here in the Mueller report. Well, I can find that out momentarily. I'll tell you, we're at page 40. And just going to keep scrolling down. Oh, there's 126. 141. Take a while. Uh-oh. Got a... Oh, B14. Oh, B11. B4. Yark. Scroll up, see what I find. Uh-oh, we Appendix A, okay. 182 pages in volume 2. So, got about another 140 some pages. And that's a good thing. Plenty to learn. Oh yeah. Woo! Those guys done a plenty. None of it good. And we're going to wind down the show now. Thanks for listening in and watching as well, those of you on Facebook and YouTube. And this has been the Friday Evening News recorded portion for Friday, November 29th. It's episode 23 of the Mueller Report. And yeah, we're a little over an hour. Let me find the mouse, and thanks for listening in. Okay, continuing with live radio here at the Voice of Stockton. I'm going to bid adieu to Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for watching, and